already know.
Agree to disagree, and I wasn't hating, man. I was just saying he's not a better defender.
What about the D Rose thing, Tia? People kept bringing up the D Rose thing.
You know.
He did lock him up.
Tony Allen may have poked the bear after publicly taking shots at LeBron's game and doubling down on it. People online are getting heated, but is he telling the truth or just hating on one of the greatest players of all time for nothing? Let's break it all down. The grindfather fires back. There are players who play basketball. Then there are players who change what basketball looks like. And then in a very small and very rare category, there are players who make the great players look bad. Tony Allen was that third kind of player. He was never the one putting up 30 points on a Tuesday night. He was never the guy the cameras chased down the court after a big bucket. He was not the star. He was the person the star had nightmares about for 14 seasons in the NBA. Tony Allen made a living doing something most professional basketball players actively try to avoid. He played defense, not the kind of defense where you show up when the moment feels right. Not the kind where you wave your hands and call it a night. Real defense, the kind of defense that is uncomfortable to play against, uncomfortable to watch up close, uncomfortable to think about. If you're the scorer who has to face it, that was Tony Allen's job. That was his calling, and he was very, very good at it. So when Tony Allen decides to say something about defensive excellence, the basketball world stops and listens. And in July of 2026, Tony Allen had a lot to say. Allen is a 6-time NBA All-Defensive Team selection, a lockdown perimeter defender, and one of the most respected defensive specialists of his generation. He built that reputation with the Boston Celtics in the late 2000s and then made it permanent with the Memphis Grizzlies during the grit and grind era, one of the most physical and suffocating defensive periods any franchise in modern basketball has ever known. He earned 6 all-defensive selections total, 3 on the first team and 3 on the second team, across 820 regular season games over a 14-year career. He won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics in 2008. And the city of Memphis respected what he gave them so much that the Grizzlies retired his number 9 jersey. They called him the Grindfather. The name fit, because every night Tony Allen stepped onto that floor, he was not there to perform. He was there to make the other team's best scorer wish they were somewhere else. He would be in your jersey before the ball left the inbounder's hands. He would follow you everywhere on the floor. Every possession, every step, every fake. He would make you work for every inch. That was not just his job description, that was who he was, and he was elite at it. Now, with all of that as the foundation, here is what happened. Around July 21st of 2026, Bleacher Report published a ranking of the 99 greatest defenders in the history of the NBA. Lists like that always stir things up. People love to debate rankings, but this particular list had one detail that turned the usual basketball chatter into something much louder and much more personal. The list placed LeBron James at number 22. Tony Allen came in at number 23, one spot. LeBron ahead, Allen behind. Now, for a casual fan, you might look at that and think it is reasonable. LeBron James is one of the most decorated players in the history of the sport. He has 6 all-defensive team selections to his name. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year finalist. He has made iconic defensive plays in some of the biggest moments in NBA history. So what is the problem with putting him at 22 and Allen at 23? Tony Allen had a very clear answer to that question. He went on the Chris Vernon Show on Grind City Media in July of 2026, and he did not mince a single word. He spoke the way he played defense, direct, physical, and without apology. The heart of everything Allen said comes down to one very simple idea. LeBron James, according to Allen, was never the one doing the real defensive work. Not the kind of work that true lockdown defenders do, not the kind that Allen himself did every single night of his career. According to coverage from Essentially Sports, Allen put it this way: "Yo, LeBron, stop it, bro. You ain't never had to check nobody. Everybody had to check LeBron." His biggest defensive plays are the chase down blocks. That's his biggest thing. All you did was a couple chase down blocks a game. Name somebody that he had to lock up and get the win. Close your eyes and think about LeBron James playing defense. The very first image that comes to your mind is almost certainly one of those chase down blocks. LeBron running at full speed from behind while the other player thinks they have a clear path to the basket. The ball disappears. LeBron has come from nowhere and sent that shot into the crowd. Those plays are genuinely spectacular. They are some of the most exciting defensive moments in the history of the sport. The first one, the one in the 2016 finals, all of them. But Allen's argument is this: a chase down block is a reaction. It is what happens after the defense somewhere else has already broken down. A real lockdown defender is someone who stops the breakdown from happening in the first place. The chase down block is the spectacular exception. Being a primary on-ball stopper, game after game, possession after possession is the rule, and Allen spent every year of his career living by that rule. There's also a second layer to Allen's argument, a layer that goes even deeper than the chase down block conversation. He argued that LeBron was never assigned the other team's best scorer, and told to follow them for 40 full minutes. And the reason for that, Allen says, is completely straightforward. LeBron was always the biggest target on the floor himself. Allen argued that LeBron was the one being hunted offensively every single night, not the one doing the hunting on the defensive end. Every opposing team had a game plan built entirely around stopping LeBron James. So the question Allen is asking is simple. If you're the one everyone is trying to stop, how exactly can you also be the one doing the stopping? To drive that point home, Allen used a very specific example. He described a scenario rooted in real NBA strategy, using LeBron's Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Think about the 2012 Finals era. Allen's question was this. At the opening tip of that game, would LeBron James walk out and guard Kevin Durant? According to Allen, the answer is no. And the reason is practical. You do not put the most valuable and most important player on your team, on the other team's best scorer in the opening minutes, and risk him picking up 2 quick fouls. So instead, LeBron starts on Thabo Sefolosha, and he stays on Sefolosha. Allen's claim is that this gap between the highlight and the full game is exactly what separates his career from LeBron's career on the defensive end. Allen's role and his highlight reel were the same thing. He did not have any other job for LeBron. Those two things were very different, and Allen believes the rankings, the awards, and the legacy have never properly accounted for that difference. The award that started a war. If you want to understand just how deep Tony Allen's frustration runs, you cannot stop at the Bleacher Report list, because the list was just the trigger. The real fuel for this fire was something that happened 13 years before the list came out, something that Allen had been carrying around for years, and the reason he was still carrying it is because LeBron James kept bringing it up in public. LeBron James has stated on multiple occasions that the 2013 Defensive Player of the Year award is the one major award missing from his entire resume. He has brought it up in interviews, he has brought it up on TV, he has said it stings. He has said he believes he deserved it. As recently as a 2024 appearance on The Shop, according to Essentially Sports, LeBron revisited that award as something that still bothers him, calling it the one thing missing from his legacy. Tony Allen heard that, and he had something very specific to say about it. Here's the full picture of what happened in the 2012 to 2013 NBA season. The Memphis Grizzlies that year finished with the best defensive rating in the entire league. Not one of the best. The best out of 30 teams. Memphis was the hardest team to score against. That accomplishment did not fall out of the sky. It was the product of a group of men who committed themselves completely and totally to the idea of making basketball miserable for the other team every single night of the regular season. Two of the most important men at the center of that group were Marc Gasol and Tony Allen. Marc Gasol won the 2013 Defensive Player of the Year award. It was a well-earned honor for a dominant center who anchored the most feared defensive team in basketball. LeBron James finished as the runner-up in that year's DPOY voting. And ever since, LeBron has repeatedly revisited that result and said he should have won it. Tony Allen has a very different memory of that season, and a very different opinion on who should have been in that conversation. According to Essentially Sports, when Allen addressed LeBron's DPOY claim directly, he said, "When Mark got that award, everybody that summer was asking me why I didn't get it. I didn't think not one time LeBron deserved that. If Mark didn't get it, I should have got it." To see him say for his legacy, he should have got that award, I'm saying to myself, bro, every game you came in, you was the hunted. You was the guy. This argument has a logic to it that is hard to dismiss. If the Memphis Grizzlies had the best defensive rating in the entire NBA that season, and Marc Gasol won the Defensive Player of the Year award as the anchor and engine of that defensive unit, then the most natural conversation about who else deserved to be in that award discussion should have been happening inside that same locker room, not on a different team, not centered on a player whose team did not lead the league in defense. The player right there in Memphis, doing the daily unglamorous 40-minute grind of making the Grizzlies the most feared defensive team in basketball. Allen's position is clear. If it was not Gasol, it should have been him, not LeBron James, and Allen was not done, because the DPOY debate led him directly into another argument about LeBron's defensive legacy, one that cuts even deeper. LeBron James has earned 6 all-defensive team selections over his career, 5 on the first team and 1 on the second team. For most players, that is an extraordinary achievement, a career-defining honor. But Allen looked at that number and saw something completely different. According to Essentially Sports, Allen said this about LeBron's 6 selections. "I think 6 all-defensive selections is so underwhelming for his career. It's so hyped up. He should have like 12 of them if he really cared about that game, if he was engaged in defense." Think carefully about what Allen is actually saying here. He is not insulting LeBron's ability. He is doing the exact opposite. He is saying that with LeBron's size, his speed, his strength, his basketball intelligence, and the physical tools he has been blessed with, he had everything required to be a genuinely elite defender every single season of his career, not just in certain moments. not just when the team needed a big stop in Game 7 every year. 12 all-defensive selections would not have been unreasonable for a player built the way LeBron is built. The fact that it only happened 6 times, Allen argues, is the real and honest story. It means defense was something LeBron chose to turn on when the moment called for it. It was never the thing that consumed him every night the way it consumed Tony Allen. Now, all of this is not coming from a fan sitting in the stands. Tony Allen and LeBron James have a very long and very real history on the basketball court. They faced each other in 32 NBA games, 23 in the regular season and 9 in the playoffs. James holds a 19-13 overall record in those meetings, but Allen's teams won the playoff matchups by a count of 6 wins to 3. They competed against each other for more than a decade, from Allen's Celtics years through his time in Memphis, from LeBron in Cleveland, all the way through to LeBron in Miami. One of the most revealing stories Allen has shared about what those matchups actually look like came from a Grizzlies versus Cavaliers game somewhere around the 2014 to 2015 period that week leading up to the game. Allen prepared for war. He was in the weight room. He was getting his body right. He was locked in mentally and physically. He wanted LeBron James to come straight at him. He wanted that challenge more than anything. The game started, and LeBron did not attack him. Not because he feared Tony Allen, not because he lacked the ability to go at him, but because, according to Basketball Network's coverage of this story, LeBron made a decision that Allen himself later came to respect. The smartest way to attack the Grizzlies' defense was not to go one-on-one with Tony Allen. The smartest way was to move the ball, exploit the mismatches, and find the cracks in the defense somewhere else. Allen was disappointed in the moment. He had wanted the fight, but looking back, he praised the decision, calling it proof of LeBron's remarkable basketball IQ and his maturity in understanding that winning the game mattered more than proving something in a personal matchup. There is also a story Allen has told about what he describes as his first and only real interaction with LeBron during a game. It happened in Boston. Allen made a big defensive stop late, contesting a shot that did not fall after the miss. According to Grind City Media's coverage of the Chris Vernon show, LeBron removed his mouthpiece and said something along the lines of, "Man, I just missed." Allen celebrated that stop like it was the biggest moment of his career. Going back even earlier, Allen has spoken about the scouting report on LeBron during his young Cleveland Cavaliers years, saying he was not worried about LeBron posting him up in those early seasons because LeBron had not yet developed his postgame. The focus at that time was on fighting through pick-and-roll situations, containing his transition, and forcing him to take jump shots. Allen acknowledged that LeBron's game evolved enormously in the years that followed. And then there is one more layer to this rivalry that adds a completely different dimension to the story. Allen has referenced the Celtics' success against Cleveland in the late 2000s, specifically the 2010 Eastern Conference semifinals, as something he believes contributed to LeBron leaving Cleveland. "We made that man go to Miami," Allen has said in various forms over the years. He sees Boston's success against Cleveland during that era as part of what became the decision. He also questions the popular idea that LeBron locked up Paul Pierce during those matchups, saying the reality he saw and lived through on the court did not match the way that story has sometimes been told. The history between Tony Allen and LeBron James is not casual. It is not theoretical. It is built on more than a decade of real competition, real matchups, and a real difference in how both men understand what defense is supposed to look like. The verdict and the fallout. The first clip of Tony Allen making these comments about LeBron James hit social media and spread fast, very fast. Within a short time, thousands of people were sharing it, debating it, arguing over it, and pulling it apart from every possible angle. Some people said Allen was finally saying the thing that should have been said a long time ago. Others said he was completely off base and just looking for attention. Others were somewhere in between, trying to figure out where the truth actually lives. Tony Allen saw all of it. He read the responses, he heard every bit of the pushback, and then he went right back on the Chris Vernon show and said it all again, louder and with more detail. Allen doubled down on the Chris Vernon show after the initial clip went viral, expanding on the OKC and Sefolosha example and going further in his critique of LeBron's defensive record. Because here is what people may not have fully appreciated. Allen's argument is not only about the past, it is also about right now. In the later stages of LeBron's career, he has been playing a defensive style known as drop coverage. Drop coverage is a scheme where a defender sags back toward the paint when the opposing ball handler comes off a screen, rather than fighting hard over the screen and staying tight on the perimeter. Some teams use it as a deliberate strategy for certain matchups. Some players drift toward it as their explosiveness and quickness fade with age. It is a real adjustment that happens to real players. For Tony Allen, watching LeBron James play drop coverage was the last piece of confirmation he needed. According to Essentially Sports coverage of Allen's follow-up comments, Allen said this about LeBron's recent defensive performances: "We don't want to bring up his highlights from the past 3 years because it's him and drop defense. It's horrible now. Think about what that means for a moment." Drop coverage is widely seen in basketball circles as a concession. It is what happens when a defender either cannot fight hard over screens anymore or is not willing to burn the energy it takes to do so. For a man whose entire career was built on never giving up a single inch of space, on being the most uncomfortable defender you would ever face on the perimeter, watching LeBron James play drop coverage is not a small thing. For Allen, it confirms exactly what he has been saying. The consistent, every possession defensive effort was never truly there the way it needed to be for the defensive legacy to mean what people have built it up to mean. And then Allen wrapped the entire argument up in one sentence. A sentence that was both generous and cutting at the exact same time. According to Clutch Points, Allen said, "We known LeBron James for 40,000 points and them chase down blocks. You ain't no defensive player. You the GOAT in basketball but not defense." There it is. The complete argument in 2 sentences. Tony Allen is not trying to knock LeBron off his throne. He is not trying to diminish the scoring record, the championships, the MVPs, the longevity, or the body of work. He is calling LeBron the GOAT in basketball, the greatest of all time. Full stop. But he is drawing a very firm and very clear line right at the defensive reputation. The chase down blocks were real. The highlights were real. The athletic gifts were extraordinary. But being a genuine defensive player in the way Allen understands that term, a player who locks down the other team's best scorer night after night for 40 full minutes without any offensive glory to balance the energy cost, that was not LeBron's game. And Allen believes the all-time lists and the legacy conversations have been treating LeBron's defense as something it was not. When all of that landed on social media, it generated a massive, intense, and very polarized reaction across platforms, podcasts, and YouTube channels. And those reactions split into 2 very distinct and very vocal camps. On one side were the people who felt like Allen was telling a truth that had been sitting in the background of LeBron conversations for years, waiting for someone with real credibility to say it out loud. They pointed to the fact that Allen's 6 all-defensive selections came from full game, primary assignment. Defense against elite scorers, not from selective highlight reel plays. They argued that the difference between a chase down block and spending 40 minutes attached to the other team's best scorer is enormous and real, and that the highlight has always made that difference look much smaller than it actually is. They agreed that a player who also needed to be the most important offensive weapon on his team every single night was never going to carry the defensive responsibility of a full-time stopper, and that this is a legitimate and meaningful limitation on what the defensive legacy should actually mean. They called Allen's comments facts, not hate. On the other side was a very passionate and very loud group of LeBron supporters who pushed back hard. They were quick to point out that LeBron earned 5 first-team all-defensive selections while carrying offensive loads of close to 30 points per game in those same seasons. They argued that doing both of those things simultaneously at an elite level is one of the most remarkable two-way achievements in the history of professional basketball. They talked about LeBron's defensive versatility, his ability to guard point guards, wings, and big forwards at various points in his career. They brought up specific stretches, particularly during the Miami Heat years, where LeBron was genuinely and unambiguously one of the most impactful defenders on the floor in the entire league. They said that accusing LeBron of never having to guard anyone ignores real film and ignores what coaches and peers said about him at his peak, and some of them called Allen's comments something closer to envy than honest analysis. Then there was a third group, a group that sat between the 2 sides and tried to think carefully and honestly about what was really being argued. These people acknowledged that Allen's point about primary on-ball lockdown defense versus selective help plays and end-of-game highlights is a real and important distinction. They agreed that the 2 things are fundamentally different jobs, but they also pointed out that it is nearly impossible to hold a career defensive specialist to the same measuring stick as a player who also had to be his team's primary offensive engine for more than 20 consecutive years. The physical demand alone is different. The mental energy required is different. The coaching decisions around deployment are different. A fair comparison requires a significant amount of careful context that a simple ranking number does not provide. Clips of Allen's comments spread widely across social media through accounts including the Dunk Central and the Heat Central, generating thousands of likes and shares across platforms. Jeff Teague brought the debate to the Club 520 podcast, offering his perspective with a mix of genuine respect for Allen and some pushback on where peak LeBron stands defensively. To the Baja covered the reaction as well. Articles from Clutch Points, Essentially Sports, and Pro Football Network all covered the story in full, documenting just how divided the basketball world became over what started as one man's reaction to a list. All of this conversation points to a deeper question that the NBA has never fully and cleanly settled. How do you actually measure defense? The spectacular plays are easy to see. The chase down blocks are easy to clip and share and put on a highlight reel. But the work that Tony Allen did, the work of attaching yourself to the other team's best scorer and fighting them for every single step and every single inch of the floor across 40 full minutes, possession after possession, game after game, season after season. How do you put a real number on that? How do you make sure it gets the right amount of credit on an all-time list? The debate also has a dimension that goes beyond history. LeBron James is now with the Philadelphia 76ers, and some of the discussion around Allen's comments has turned toward what LeBron's current defensive form might mean for that team going forward. If he truly is in the drop coverage phase of his career, if the athletic tools that once made his defense spectacular have faded in the way Allen is suggesting, then the questions Allen is raising are not purely historical. They are relevant to what is happening in the NBA right now. Allen was clear throughout all of this about what he was and was not trying to do. He said he was not hating. He said he was not trying to take anything away from LeBron's legacy as a basketball player. He was speaking from the perspective of a man who gave his entire professional life to one side of the basketball court. Allen has described his role as making sure the other team's best scorer did not reach their scoring average every single night. That was the deal he made. No offensive spotlight, no scoring titles, no big bucket moments on the evening highlight show, just the grind of being the person who stops the best players in the world, one possession at a time, one game at a time for 14 years. From that place, from that particular and very specific perspective and experience, Tony Allen is looking at an all-time defenders list and saying, the way this has been measured is not right. The way LeBron's defense has been talked about and celebrated is larger than the foundation it was actually built on. As of late July 2026, the conversation remains very much active across NBA media and social platforms. LeBron James has not publicly addressed Allen's specific arguments in detail. The internet is still arguing, the podcasts are still producing episodes, the clips are still getting shared. The Grindfather said what he came to say. You can agree with him, you can disagree with him, but you cannot say the man who spent 14 years making life miserable for the greatest scorers in the history of this game does not have the standing to tell you what real defense looks like from the inside. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to watch another fascinating video like this, click on one of the boxes on your screen right now.